Welcome back. Chapter 28. I didn't know where fate had gone after his arbitrary order. Guy seriously needed to lighten up a little. Still couldn't figure out what had gotten him all in a puff. He complained when I didn't do what he wanted. Now he was going to complain when I did. I was standing across from the entrance of the airport, stewing over why he was so irritable when I saw the cops arrive. Too many cops, and all with a purpose. He can't get on that plane, Fate had said. I've been so pissed off about my food, I hadn't even thought about what that meant at the time. Only one thought sprang to mind, and unfortunately, I was afraid it was the most likely. I crossed the street quickly, not caring about suit at that minute. I entered the main airport lobby. There were screens everywhere, all with the same picture of a fiery mess. I edged in closer to one of the TVs trying to hear the details. It went down soon after it took flight without any kind of warning or distress signal, the newscaster said, the camera never budging from the scene. I told you to stay in the room, Fate said from beside me. You tell me a lot of things I don't listen to. I turned on him. You knew. Not here. He turned and walked out of the airport. I left as well, not having the stomach to watch any more and wanting answers. He was crossing the street when I caught up to him and yelled, Admit you knew. He turned and stopped. I don't remember denying it. He shrugged like it was no big deal and then turned and kept walking. I followed after him. Why didn't you try and stop it? I couldn't, he said, stopping in the middle of the parking lot. Would you have if you could? No. He was straight-faced without an ounce of regret. Why? Aren't we supposed to be making this place better? You still thinking like a human. We aren't here to make it better. We're here to keep everything in line. There's a significant difference between the two. But Harold said I could. Harold was giving you the company line. He said you could get your murderer too, knowing you wouldn't be able to do it on your own. I can't wait to get the hell out of this and away from all of you. I caught the movement out the corner of my eye. We had an audience. Suit was standing in the shadow of a van, watching our every move. Fate moved closer to me and whispered softly, Don't look at him. Just follow me back to the hotel. But we'll lose him. No, we won't. Do you have other skills I'm aware of? Not skills, resources. If I follow you and we lose him, we won't. But I'd love to know why he seems so interested in you. He closed the gap even more. If you're lying to me, I will kill you. He turned on his heel and took off towards the hotel. I could stay here with Suits, who already killed me once, or follow Fate, who only threatened death. Really? It was a no-brainer. Dinner came and went as we sat in the hotel room and watched the clock strike midnight. I was sitting by the window calling myself every kind of name in the book for relinquishing control again. You said you had resources. Where are they and why aren't they calling? Did they lose him? They'll call once he sets down somewhere. A knock at the door signaled the room service he called in, and I went back to staring out the window. I wanted to do something, but I had no idea where to even begin to find Suits. Where did I listen to him? Why did I listen to him? Why? I was mad at him and furious at myself. Here, I got you a tea. He placed a filled teacup on the table next to me. I eyed the peace offering. It wasn't nearly enough to take the edge off the anger I had at him for blowing it, but I was in the mood for tea. He went back to one of the queen beds and leaned against the headboard, watching TV. Strike that, feigning interest in the TV. He was actually watching me. Why? What was I not seeing here? I eyed the cup of tea on the table and then slowly brought it to my lips. I'm a tea drinker. There isn't a blend that exists I haven't tried, and I never tasted one like this. I wanted to spit out the tiny sip immediately, but I couldn't. He drugged my tea. Why? I didn't think it was lethal. He could have taken me out countless times before now if that was his objective. That only left him wanting to keep me away from Suits. That wasn't happening. But what do I do now? I could feel his eyes on me from across the room. I couldn't tell him I knew. It was force it would force a confrontation I'd lose. If I didn't drink it, it might still force a confrontation I'd lose. If I drank it, no immediately confrontation, but I definitely lose. I did the only option I could think of. I chugged it back as quickly as I could, then got up. I'm going to take a shower. I still feel disgusting from being so close to Maxwell. He nodded, but didn't budge or seemed alarmed. I shut the bathroom door and turned the water on full blast. Luckily, there was a radio system in there too. I turned that on for good measures. Now to throw up. That wasn't going to be easy since I don't throw up. I've got a pretty tough stomach that only the worst of fluss can take down. I grabbed the toothbrush Fate had picked up for me, then poked and prodded my tonsils like it was a full-time job. Every minute counted, but I finally emptied my stomach while I thought about how I was going to make Fate pay for whatever he was up to. And that was alarming. What was he doing? I jumped in the shower to put on a good show and then walked back in the bedroom with my hair dripping wet, adorned in a comfy white terry cloth. I didn't say anything as I lay down on the other bed and pretended to pass out. He didn't waste much time. "Camilla?" he said about 10 minutes later. When I didn't answer, I heard him get up and move around the room. The door opened and shut shortly after. I jumped off the bed, pulled the robe that hid my clothes underneath off, and ran out the door after him. The elevators were on the right, but I took the stairs to the roof. As long as he was walking, I'd be able to figure out what direction and follow him. If he was driving, I was screwed. I saw him walk out the front of the building and get into a white SUV. I slammed my fist down onto the roof I was squatting on. Now what? I could try and take off after him on foot, but I wasn't sure that was going to do me much good. Even if I tried to steal the car, by the time I figured out how to steal it, he'd be gone. And then, gently sailing down from the sky came a bright neon green slip of paper. It fell neatly to where it lay just beside my foot. On it, an address and the color and make of the car. I looked upward. "Dude, I'm sorry for all the lousy things I might have said about you or your people, your office. You know, let's not drag this out. You get the point." I shoved the paper in my back pocket and headed toward the parking lot. I pulled up to a 2-story building about 20 minutes south of the hotel. There wasn't a house or other structures in sight. I hadn't even seen a light other than my headlights for miles. He wasn't alone. There were 5 other cars beside the white SUV parked at the side of the building. I parked a good distance away, and then I slowly crept up next to the window by the door. It was pitch black out here, so as long as I stayed out of the light, I was pretty sure they couldn't see me. Suit was sitting in a chair in the center of a barren warehouse. I wanted to punch my fist on the wall next to the window, double-crossing jerk. Fate stood dead center in front of him, with Lars to his right and 3 other large men to his left, and not a single one of them showed any kind of aura. Was it possible one of the other 3 were human? Yes, but not likely. What the hell was going on here? Fate walked toward the man until he was inches away from his face. I knew he was talking to him, even though I couldn't see his face or hear the words. He straight up and walked away, then turned back lightning fast and punched the guy in the face. The man, the man and the chair flew backwards together, blood already dripping down his face. I took a step back and then caught myself. I needed to hear what was being said. "If I tell you I'm dead anyway," the man screamed loud enough that I could hear him through the pane of glass. Fate didn't bother looking at him when he said the next word. You'll wish, you'll wish it was him killing you if you don't tell me. Lars stepped forward, grabbed the front of the guy's shirt in one hand and the chair in the other, and dragged them both upright. What are you doing with them? Fate asked Suit. You've got the wrong guy. I'm not what you think. You're exactly what I think. Don't play stupid. You know what I am. Lars stepped back. You want to kill him? No, I want answers, and I'll keep him in chains until I get them, if need be. He wasn't going to kill him. The only thing I wanted, but I wasn't moving on until this guy was dead. So what do we do? Lars asked. Work him over, but keep him alive. I'll be back shortly. I've got to go handle something. When Fate headed toward the door to leave, I scrambled to hide around the corner. Pressed against the wall, I tried not to even breathe until I heard his footsteps receding. When I didn't hear any at all, I started to wonder if he stayed inside, until he was right in front of me. I turned to dodge to my right, and his hand slammed into the wall. I changed direction, and the other one came slamming down. Without any other option, I looked right at him. I take it you like to talk? He didn't smile. How are you here? You mean at this local or live? Considering he slipped something into my tea, it was a valid question. If I wanted you dead, you would be. How did you get here? He moved in closer. I got a memo. His eyes squinted as he tried to stare me down. Why do you keep getting memos? I guess the universe likes me better. This was definitely one of those moments I should be playing nice. He had something I wanted, and yet I couldn't. Sometimes I'm amazed I've made it this far in life without ever being punched in the face. If that never tipped me off to some sort of universal intervention, I guess nothing would. He took a step back and then turned his back on me, looking upward, and shook his head. Aha! I wasn't the only one that tried to talk to the universe. He finally turned back. I don't get it, but if it wants you here, I can't stop you. He started walking toward the door and looked back at me. Are you coming? I pushed off the wall and followed before he decided to change his mind again. We stopped right outside the threshold where we still had a view of the man. Lars was now leaning over him and looked like he'd done more than that from the swelling over Suit's left eye. This group, he pointed inside, what's going on here? Goes a lot deeper than a few tattoos and a couple of secrets. You walk in and you are in. Do you understand what I mean? For what? The little time I have left? And what if, for some reason, you decide to stay? I told you I'm not staying. He looked at me and I could see the hesitation there. Do you know something I don't? No, I told you I can't see any kind's face. Then trust me when I tell you I don't want this gig. He grabbed me by the shoulders and pressed me against the side of the building by the door. This isn't a game that if you lose, you just move on. You join and betray us, you die. Not move on, you're just gone. Are you prepared for that? The intensity I felt from him was overwhelming, but I didn't have that much time left anyway. Did it really matter? And I wanted Suits. I didn't care if I wouldn't remember after I moved on. He needed to die. Yes, he said, and I couldn't repeat this. He said I couldn't repeat the secrets. He said nothing about taking out the mass murder before I left. So be it. He took a step back and then paused by the door, waiting for me to follow. We walked back inside the room together. They all looked at Fate and then me. Put him below, Fate said. There was a pause, and then two of the guys left with Suit in tow, leaving Fate, Lars, another guy I didn't know, and I alone. Lars spoke first. Why is she here? She got a memo. I saw from their faces they found it as strange as Fate had, perhaps even alarming. But neither of them asked what a memo was. If you bring her in, you're the one that has to kill her. I've got enough blood on my hand. The one left, who I didn't know, said to Fate. I'll handle it, Cuddy, Fate said. It's too late anyway, Lars added. She's already seen us here together. It's all or nothing now. I have to agree, one of the returning men said. The two guys came back from downstairs while I was pondering my latest decision, and Cuddy was eyeing me up. I think we should skip introductions, one of the returning pair said. It's a little late for me. Lars stepped closer. We've already been introduced. Cuddy, the larger one with the shaved head, spoke. So how much we telling her then? Fate answered. She already knows about Sue, and I'm guessing she's figured out that no one here is human. They all looked at me. Even if I had my doubts, he just confirmed it anyway. I'm the only one still on the inside. He looked at me again with a stare that said, I hope you realize what you agreed to. About 20 years ago, Lars disappeared. A week or so after he went missing, he reached out to me. He always been into tattoos and he accidentally stumbled onto a way to drop off the grid completely. To Harold and the universe, it just appears like he died. But as you can see, he didn't. No one here did. That man downstairs is like us, and I suspect is working with others like us. But none of us ever met him at the agency. We don't know how he came to be, what he's up to, or who else he is involved with. The only thing we do know is he's actively recruiting. The ramifications of more of us out there playing with the outcome of people's lives with no upper authority chilled me. It robbed me of words. I wasn't sure I liked how things were running, but at least there were parameters. We didn't know what type of capabilities these people had, but the idea was unsettling. Lars walked over and sat at the metal folding seat Suit had occupied. I don't think she understands. She gets it, Fate said. How do you know there's more? That part is a hunch. I want to talk to him. No one spoke or said anything. If I'm in, I'm in. And that's the end of chapter 28. Stay tuned for the next chapter.